Welcome back into the shop again. We're working on the banana loader today. I need to get a little bit further with this quick connect going onto the front of the loader. So let's get to it. That's right. So, is what I need to do is I need to take some measurements and figure out where this is going to, or where I need to put my angle iron in order to pin it onto the loader. And the most important part about that is getting the height right, because when I'm pushing dirt with a bucket, instead of the force being pushed against the cylinders, the hydraulic cylinders, I want the bucket, my loader arms all the way down and pushed against the loader so that the force is going against the machine and not the cylinder arms. I'll show you. So you can see here, the loader arms come in contact with these spacers, which when you have force, when you're pushing on dirt and you have force coming back, you got stress on these arms, and this helps alleviate that stress by pushing against here, which is on the loader itself. I got to make sure that we put our quick attach the right height so that when I'm pushing dirt, I'm down, my arms are down all the way and pushing dirt, that they connect here, rather than having to be up a little bit, and then in which case we'll be putting stress on these hydraulic cylinders. So how do I go about making sure that this is at the right height? There's so many things that are different, and it's important to get it as close as you can. So I was doing some looking online on YouTube, doing my YouTube research, and I couldn't find anyone that explained where to mount this quick hitch attachment or quick attachment plate in relation to the ground and any part of this or to the machine. So I did that for you. What I did is I stopped down at my in-laws farm. They've got a skid loader. It's in their shop. They didn't have a bucket on it. And I measured to this point on their skid loader. So every skid loader has this attachment already built into it. And that's why we're putting this onto the loaders. I want to be able to use skid loader attachments and just go up to them, grab them. We push these bars down, it hooks them up, then I can use them. So what I did is I had them start their machine, and theirs kind of was sitting like this, was tilted forward a little bit. He started it up. His arms were all the way down. He tilted it straight. I measured to the top of this angle right here. That was 20 inches and 1/8 from the ground to here on an existing skid loader. It was a John Deere, but all skid loaders I expect would be the same. I didn't measure anything other than a John Deere, but they should be all the same as far as I know. If you know they're not or whatever, go ahead and comment down below and tell me what your measurement is to the top of this top angle here, when your boom is all the way down and making connection with the machine as low to the ground as it can get. So that will make a difference, as obviously, of course, on how much distance you have here. So 20 and 1/8 inches is what I need this to sit. Once, if we pretend this forks in here, when this is hooked up to the machine, I want this right here. This top angle is going to be 20 and 1/8 inches off the floor. That's how I got to mount this. Now, in order to get this so that when I pin it with these 3 pins onto my machine, I need to, obviously you can see here, I don't have anywhere to pin it. So that's what I need to build onto this quick attach plate. How I'm going to do that is I've got some big angle on that I'm going to add onto it. And by add, I mean weld. Shout out to Jim at South St. Paul Steel, and also Brian. You know who you are. Brian gave us this piece of 4x4 1/4 inch thick, and I bought this from South St. Paul Steel from Jim. He's one of the employees there, and this was a drop, so he gave me a good deal on this. It was $40 for this one piece here. So I'm going to cut this in half, and I'll mount, if you can envision this, I'll mount this here where it needs to go, and then this top knuckle, this top pin right here, that's going to sit right in here roughly. So we'll have one of these, this on this side, and we'll have the same thing on that side, and this lower pin is going to sit right there. So that'll be this pin here, that'll sit right down here like that. So hopefully you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing. I thought, when I originally kind of figured what I needed for angle iron, I thought these here, I thought that pin was going to go right in the middle, because I hadn't figured that part out yet. So I didn't get enough of this. So what I'll do is I'll cut for one side, and then I'll just get some more and do that side. Now, as you can see here, I'm getting everything ready to tack into place, but I want them in place to help my brain calculate better where the holes are going to go. And then we'll be able to pull these off and drill or torch whatever we're going to do there. But what I need to do is figure out exactly where these pieces are going to go this way here on our 2-inch square tubing here. I've got the center marked out. So for the middle one, we know it's going to be centered. So all we really have to do is measure how wide we want it. Right now, our existing mounting brackets are 4 inches, but there's a gap. So I'm going to put these in. This collar here is 3.5 inches. So I'm going to allow myself 3 3/4. If I have to, I can always add a couple washes in there as spacers. So what I'm going to do is find center. Half of 3 3/4, half of 3 would be 1.5, and then half of 3/4 would be 3/8. There's 1/4, you double the bottom number 8, so that's 3/8. So we add 1.5 plus 3/8 puts us at 1 7/8. All right, I'm mathing right. So we find center and we go over 1 7/8, and that's right where I've got it right now because I had this pre-marked out. Measure a bunch of times to make sure you're right. 3 3/4. All right. I'm going to see if I can get a chalk to put on here. That'll be a lot easier to see. Not chalk, soapstone. All right. So now that's our measurement for our center one. Now to get these outside ones, again, we know our center is going to be center regardless of anything. So all I need to know is the center from this arm to this arm, or from this pin to this pin. I'm actually going to measure inside. 23 1/4. From the inside of this knuckle to the inside of this knuckle. Now that's not measuring my mounting spots, it's measuring the knuckles. That's what's not gonna change. That's what I need to make sure I measure to, because that's our constant here. And now I'm gonna have a 1/4 inch play on each knuckle. So the play on both sides would be 1/8 inch. But so is what we want is 23 1/8 inch inside measurement to set up our lower pins. And that's going to be from the center. So 23 1/4 inside dimension. So half of 23 1/4, let's see, half of 22 would be 20, or would be 11. And then we got 1 1/4 inch is 1/2. So that's 11 1/2, and 1/2 is 1/8. So we're at 11 5/8. And there again, we're gonna want 3 3/4 inches. So now this is our inside, so we can just measure over 3 3/4. Now what I'm doing is I'm actually going off of a different mark so that, because you know your tape measure has that little play. So just to make sure that I'm perfectly right on as best as I can, I just go to an inch mark and I count over 3 3/4. So really we're at 3 inches there. So we go 1, 2, 3 at the 6 inches and 3/4 of an inch. Make our mark and then we'll square that up. All right, now that we got all our marks, we're gonna double check all our measurements. And again, we'll go to an inch mark, not the end of the tape. 1, 2, 3 3/4. 3 3/4. 1, 2, 3 3/4. 1, 2, 3 3/4. 1, 2, 3 3/4. 1, 2, 3 3/4. All right. So this will sit here, just like this. So now we know where our marks are. Clamp that in position. You can take and square it up. That's pretty good. Now we'll measure up here. We should have 3 3/4. We have 3 3/4. 3 3/4. So that's pretty much right where that's going to go. So here's what I got so far. Let's go ahead and get this one clamped up. Now that I have the angle iron in place for the brackets that are going to be welded up here, it helps me get a better look and kind of understanding of how everything's going. And I came to realize that before I can tack these in, we need to get the holes drilled and the collars welded in like so. And then once we get that done, we still can't really tack them in. This is what I'm going to do is I'll have these 2 made up here and 2 made up for over there. These collars will be screwed or will be welded on, and I'm going to run a piece of pipe through all 4 of them so that they're on the same, so that these all line up in the same. As in theory, my arms should line up from the bottom one, should be straight across, one parallel line in plane. So I want to make sure this is one parallel line in plane. And then when I come up here for this one, same thing. We'll have our collars welded on like so. And I'll take that piece of pipe out of these holes and I'll put it in these holes, and then I'll be able to measure from that pipe down to this hole, and then that pipe will extend and I'll measure it from here down to this hole. And as long as my measurements are the same, then I know that this hole, these will be squared to this. So that's how I'm going to get everything squared. Now, in order to get the holes, is what I did was I remembered the top of this square tubing was 12 inches from our 0 point. So I went down 12 inches, and then I knew from our 0 point 3 3/4 is the center of our pin for the lower arm. So I marked down 3 3/4, and that's how I got that measurement. Now down here for the upper measurement, I know that, again, 12 inches is at the top of that square tubing, and the end is at 5.5, so I hold my tape at 5.5. This pin here and our lower pin is 1 3/4 difference, so I'm going to bring that and put it at 1 3/4, and then that's now marking the center of our lower pin, and I know our pins are 11-inch center marks difference, so then the 11-inch mark there, that'll be our upper pin, and then I'm going to come up 2 inches from the bottom of both, because these are different thicknesses. I'll come up 2 inches from the bottom, and then that'll be my center for this hole, and I'll copy the same thing on the other side. So hopefully that makes sense, but that's how we're getting our holes put on. You see here we got our bushing mounts, At least that's what I'm gonna call them, shaft collars. That's what they say in the box. 2 for each set of angle irons, 2 for each knuckles. We got our bar here. This is an 1.25" cold rolled round 4140-4142 annealed 1.25 inch. So it's treated so it shouldn't bend as easy and it won't wear down as easy as regular steel. That's all I know about it. If you know what 4140 means, or if you're Jim, the guy I got it from, it's South St. Paul Steel, go ahead, put in the comments exactly what this stuff is and let others know why this is different than just regular old round stock. But this, I do know, is it's about 5/1000ths smaller than 1.25 inch, and our bushings here are exactly 1.25 inch ID, which means inside diameter. So that means they'll slip on here real nice. And also, I drilled these holes out at 1.25 inch, so they'll fit in here just right. See, that's like a little bit, it's a snug fit, but it fits. And that's what I want. I'm gonna line these up. In theory, these should be straight. If I measured right, I'll put these in. And these ones here will go on my marks. And then I'm gonna run this bar through these holes, and I'll take and put each one of these collars, one will go on each, the outside of each of the angle iron, like here and here. And then when we're all done, instead of I'll run this through to line everything up so it's like absolutely straight as I can get it. And then when we're all done with that, I'll tack these in place. I'll have to do these ones up here, of course. So what happened here, when I drilled this one at my buddy's shop, the bit was kind of bouncing around a little bit. I didn't have the best scenario for drilling these. So it got a little, it's just enough slightly oblong that this doesn't want to go in. So I'll have to take a rat tail file or a round file and figure out where it's hitting and just file it down ever so little bit until I can get this pin to go in here. I might have to do the same thing with that one. All right, so what I got here is from the inside measurement on the lower arms that'll go here is 23.25 inches from the inside to the inside. So that's what I want right here. And to get them, so everything we're going off of center. So I got my center here, half of 23.25 would be 11 is half of 22, half of an inch would be a half inch, so 11.5, and half of a quarter is an eighth, so 11 and 5/8. We're at, right there is 11.25. Or sorry, 23.25. So that's like my exact measurement I'm looking for. So 11 and 5/8 from our center mark to the inside here. Measure that, 11 and 5/8. Over here, we should have 11 and 5/8, yep. So those are locked in and secure, and then we just square them up. That's square there, that's square there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tack these here and here. Maybe, no, I don't think I'll put one in here. That'll be last. Maybe I'll flip it over and put a tack on the bottom. Anyhow, I want to tack it here and here, and I'd like to tack it kind of over here so that it doesn't roll in. But so this will be set, and then from off of these, we'll measure these, and we'll tack those in. And this bar here is making sure that these holes are all perfectly lined to each other, which in theory are the arms on the loader should be lined up with one another. So my hope is I can pull this board out, put the knuckles right in here, and two separate pins will go right in. And then once I kind of dry fit this in a sense, then we'll put pins in, and then that's when I'll tack these here into place once I know everything's gonna work good. Because I can always easily trim the holes on here a little bit, where these here, they have a slight bit of play, but they're gonna be, I think, harder to trim than what these holes would be. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, well, I sure screwed the pooch on this one. I think I don't know, I added when I should have subtracted, or I subtracted when I should have added, I don't know. But maybe I should have took the forks off sooner and measured all this stuff right here, because this measurement right here is 23 and 3/16. So that means I should have put this here at 23 inches. And it is at 23 and 3/8. So I'm 3/16 of an inch too far away from one another that it won't go in here. And this is not something I want to try to just like bend, because this whole thing would bend in, it'd catch down here, it'd wear, and that's not good. I'm gonna try to do this right. So, unfortunately, which is why I tacked this and wanted to fit it up, I gotta grind this tack, this tack, this tack. Tacks on all four of these have got to come out and get moved. These got to come this way, 3/16 of an inch each, and these are going to come this way, probably even a little bit more than that yet. The measurement here is 30 and 3/16, and we have 31 and a half, so we can bring those in this way a bit. Oh boy. Well, time to unring that bell, as Mark would say. On a good note, the middle is lined up. Oh boy. All right, let's get to it. Okay, I'm going to show you what's going on here. With these pins, I tack welded them here, which means you just put like one little bead of weld there, and they also did it here. So as what happened is, because of the heat on this side, it pulled it like that. So that's why you see me put the clamp on it. I clamped it down tight, and then I did a good small bead on both sides. You can see this, see how there's a gap right in there. It's tight back here. Same thing on this side, it's tight in the back, and there's a gap here. So as what I'll have to do, we'll pull this out, and we'll clamp that, and then I'll weld on this side of each one, and then it'll be good to go. Yesterday, I got the loader side of the quick attach plate put on. So tonight, we got to get the implement side put on to the set of forks, which is actually right on the other side of the door. But we're going to test fit this onto that and make sure it fits up first. So let's get to it. This handle is not going down all the way because the pin that goes down into that sleeve is not going down all the way because of, I don't know if you can see that metal down there. It's supposed to go in the hole, and then it kind of pinches that from, pivoting out. But something's going on that it's not doing what it's supposed to, so we're going to raise up the bucket and see what we can figure out. So as you can see there, this pin here is supposed to come all the way through that hole, but for some reason it's not. I mean, it kind of does, but not enough for my liking. And you can see there that there's a space up there, so that's not closing in all the way for some reason. There's a space there, so something's going on. Maybe it got welded out of whack a little bit. Let's go over and look at the other side. There's a small space, but not bad. You can see here, this one goes through a little bit better. That's kind of what it should do, but I still feel it should be a little more than that. But, I don't know. I gotta take a look at, figure this out. Now that I've got ample amount of exhaust in the shop, I think I figured it out. This piece here is seems a little bit long compared to where this got welded. So we got a gap here. So what I'm gonna do is what I'll do is pull this off, and I'm gonna grind the face of this down a little bit so that this lays in further. And we'll see how that goes, see if that works. That's already way better. Oh, that works now. Down all the way. I'll raise it up and see what it looks like underneath. Not too bad. It sticks out about the same as this other side. So I think we're going to call that good. I like it. Drop this back down, push the forks out, and I've got picked up an attachment for this. Now that we have the quick attach plates on, I ain't gonna tell you what it is yet. That's another video, but I'm gonna go hook up to that and see how it all fits together with a quick attach that's already made, built onto the attachment. So I'm gonna go try it out. I'll be back. Well, all in all, I'm pretty happy. There is one thing that right now I know I'm gonna change. And that one thing is these handles here. You can see when we push these down to lock them in, these are a little new yet, but so when we push these down to lock them in, they're really close here. So we're gonna either bust our knuckles on this here, which obviously I'm gonna grind this all down, but it's either there or you hit your knuckle over here. So what I'm gonna do is heat this up and just bend this straight. So when it's down, it's coming straight out here, and there's nothing ever in the way, even when I close this all the way back, or even when I tilt this all the way back, it still be there'll be nothing in the way. So I'll go get the torch, and we'll heat those up and bend them out of the way. Almost like new. The trick is to heat this up only where you want it to bend, and then it will bend like butter. Pretty straight there. Now the other trick is not to touch it until it cools off. That almost got me. Don't touch. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. It's going to be a nice addition onto the loader here, and definitely make it a lot easier to change out attachments. So we have that. But well, so as I say, is a project ever really done? We still have a few things left, but we're going to call this done for now. We got to round off these edges, maybe cut these at a 45 here, do some rounding, cut these a little bit, do some rounding, same thing down on the bottoms, but for now they're good to go. We heated these up, bent these straight, so these clear everything. We don't have to worry about our hands getting in the way when we hook attachments up. We hit our mark at 20 1/4. We're awfully close to it. Yeah, it's like 20 and a half, 20, a little shy of 20 and a half. So it's pretty close to what I wanted. It does not set right with the attachment that I've already bought. The arms do have to come up about, this has to come up about 2 inches. It actually tilts forward and up a little bit in order to run the attachment that I bought flat on the ground. So I guess I'll just have to be careful. What would I do different? I welded these collars on, and these pins are very tight. I can run the loader arms and tilt this. Everything works fine. They're obviously not tight enough to be too tight for the hydraulic cylinders, but I had to pound them in, as you've seen. I don't like that they were so tight, and I think they tightened up when I started really welding in the collars. So I'm assuming welding those in, they warped or changed just enough that they tightened up. Not really sure what would have been a better way to do it other than that. if you have any ideas like versus how you saw me do it, if there's a better way, put it in the comments so that anyone watching this in the future can maybe do it a little different and maybe end up with a better product for what they're doing. But for what I need, it works great. I'm happy I did it. I'm happy with what I got for doing it myself. I forget exactly where I bought this from. It could have been a little better, but it was the cheapest one I found. I had to do a little bit of modifying to it. Still totally worth it. If I was doing this, I'd still buy this one again. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. Another project done here in the shop. And I appreciate watching. If you would, like, subscribe, definitely if you leave a comment. I really like reading what everyone has to say and what I did and whatnot. It can only help me do better with comments. So appreciate you following along with the project in the project shop, and I hope to see you on the next one.